Hi, how are you guys doing? All right, Dr. Kathy in the house. I hope you guys are doing great today. I would like to talk about sex problems and solutions, number 4, part 2. Last time I said number 3, it's number 4, part 1. This is part 2, number 4. Okay, so the topic I'm going to talk about is why do we have orgasms? Why do we have an orgasm? I know we know it's for pleasure. We know that. And I know we know it's for procreation, right? All right, we got that down. But there are more reasons, right? Meaning there's more to it than just get up and have a baby or let's have some fun. Okay? So let's delve into that a little bit. All right, so we know for guys that you guys have a great time with your orgasms and you really are able to achieve your orgasms very well compared to us women, right? And there are some men that don't have orgasms. We know that, right? We have ED, we have all sorts of issues that can go on. But for the most part, most of you guys have great orgasms, okay? Now, women, on the other hand, tougher. So, I want you guys to know a few pointers here regarding why our orgasms are maybe a little bit different from yours, right? Previously, I talked about trying to match, right? Trying to narrow that orgasm gap between men and women. I really wanted us to make sure that we have orgasms as much as you do. But sometimes there is a reason why we do not have as many orgasms as you guys, okay? Okay, so let's go and see why. Number one, what's an orgasm? We know that orgasm is that complex physiological response that each person has, and it's a little bit different for each person, right? Depending on so many factors, right? And then you have that peak climax where you just let go and you have all these things happening to you, primarily in the guys, they have the erection, the ejaculation, and the orgasm, right? That just contraction of muscles, basically the pelvic floor, and it can be the whole body, basically, right? But most of the pelvic floor, where the anal muscles are and the genital muscles are all just vibrating uncontrollably, right? We have big ones, we have small ones, right? Depending on how much we're into it, how much we're stimulated, how intense our arousal is, right? Then we have in women, again, in women, we've got a lot of things going on. Men too. But I want to go through a few of those physiological responses that women go through so that you will understand what is involved. All right. So, in a woman, and I know I'm gonna be focusing on women mostly today, but I want the guys to hear this too because I want you to know when you're arousing your woman, right? Any woman, your partner, these things generally happen to both of us, but it's a little bit different. So in women, we have the increase in the heart rate. Heart rate just gets faster, right? Just starts moving, and it's like, ooh, we can feel that blood gushing in our body, right? The blood pressure goes up. We feel that pressure. Ooh, there's some pressure going on. Nothing dangerous, right? Now, if you have anything concerning, stop, get yourself checked. If you have a blood pressure cuff, measure your blood pressure and try and find out whether it's an issue when you're having sex. So you don't want to have any problems when you're having sex because things can happen. So if there's a warning sign, stop and get that checked out. But in the women, we also have the muscle contractions of the vagina, right? The guys can feel that. Girls can feel that. The uterus, if you have a uterus, you'll feel that contraction. And those that don't have a uterus will not feel it anymore. They did before, but no more. The anal sphincter, right? The anal area starts to contract, and it's really delightful. Some people recognize it, some people don't, but that is part of the orgasm. The anal sphincter, the anal muscles start to contract also. Then in the woman, the oviducts, which are the tubes, right? The fallopian tubes in the woman also start to contract, right? And when they contract, you're going to have this lovely feeling of everything just going wild and out of control. Now, of course, we're not really able to isolate and know what's going on in terms of one by one, but this is generally what happens. Also, there is a release of oxytocin in both men and women, and that oxytocin adds to the contraction, adds to a pleasant sensation. You're going to have this lovely feeling of bliss and you're going to feel it because oxytocin is supposed to be released. Also, dopamine is released, right? And when dopamine is released, we get that addictive sort of, oh, I need more sort of feeling when you actually are in the throes of the orgasm, right? And this is all getting you ready for that orgasm. And then the cerebral cortex, which is your brain function, slows down. It's like, ooh, they're all heightened in terms of satisfaction and pleasure. And then that thinking thing is gone, right? We all know that, right? Well, we want to go to sleep sometimes afterwards, right? All right. So then there is, for women, a rapid, regular, verbal or non-verbal vocalization, especially during penile vaginal intercourse. Now that's very important, right? I did have a patient come up to me once and say she doesn't have uh, sex if there's noise. If there's any noise, she's out. There's got to be absolutely silence, right? Some people are like that. You got to know your partner. I personally love a lot of noise, and I think the noise, again, if you're auditory, that's important to know. So you have to realize, are you auditory? You like to hear things? Are you visual? Like to see things? And put that in as part of your repertoire in terms of your satisfaction and what you want to do in the bedroom in terms of turning you on, okay? Get that in there if it helps you reach that orgasm. Women, especially, guys, I know you'll love it, but for women, if it helps you add in that noise, that even talk, dirty talk, right? Some people do the dirty talk. Just talking in general, right? Just saying things that will turn on your partner can be very arousing. Okay. Then we have the facial muscles, right? The facial muscles start to go out of control in terms of, oh, we can't even imagine what we're going through. So depending on you'll have different facial expressions, right? And some of them are beautiful, right? Some of them are like, ooh, so passionate in terms of the contraction of the face. Sometimes there's a frown, you think you're in pain, but you're not, you're enjoying it. So that back and forth change in the facial muscles, which your partner is watching too, remember that, also contributes to the orgasm. So if you're not having a facial expression and you're just lying there and you're not enjoying it, we're going to see it, right? We're going to know. People that are with you, the person that's with you, are going to know that you're not really enjoying it. And that should be something you should stop and say, okay, what's going on? Aren't you involved? Aren't you enjoying this? Aren't you here? So that can be an important note to make for your partner so that you can say, I really want to know why this is not happening or this is not working for you, and broach that conversation, bring it up. Yes, sometimes during the sexual encounter, because sometimes you want to stop and start again, or start some other time when you have that conversation with them, right? Arching of the back. Women, we tend to arch the back. Ooh, some of them will go down and really arch that back. Very, very important, right? That is showing excitement. That is showing flexibility. That is showing that they're really in the mood. They're really ready to get that, intercourse, to have that sexual intercourse, to have that pleasurable interaction with the penile and vaginal intercourse. And of course, the clitoris should be involved. Then there's that muscle tension, and there's that vaginal tenting. So the muscle tension is when you are actually feeling like almost like a stick. It's like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen, and then you feel this stiffness come over your body. For some people, the whole body goes stiff. Some people pass out, right? And we don't want you to pass out. If it's something that happens that it's detrimental, please get some help. See somebody that can help you resolve that and address that in a very careful way, so that it doesn't hurt. It doesn't become something that you hate to do, right? But that tension is very normal with the toes, right? Some guys say the toes curl, right? And it's just stuck like that, curling. And, that's not the orgasm, but it's getting there, right? So you're almost there. So you really want to make sure you peak and then you come down. Vaginal tenting is very important too. The vagina sort of like is pulled up further into the uterus, and it actually elongates the vagina so that you actually have more space to accommodate the penis. And what it's actually doing is allowing a connection between the vaginal fluids and the uterus, right? Okay. So that's typically what happens within a woman. So men, you want to see that. You want to make sure that this is happening with your women. If it's not, we need to talk about it. Okay. Now, so like I said earlier, I wanted to make sure that you understood what that orgasm should sort of like look like in women. In men, it's pretty similar, but again, I added a few touches for the women. Now, what types of orgasms, right? We know the clitoral, we know the vaginal. There is some people that have cervical, the cervix orgasms. The uterus sometimes has that orgasm. The G spot will have that orgasm. So the G spot is the vagina, right? So you can say G spot, vagina orgasm. And these areas can really give you intense orgasms, depending on whether it's you're doing it through masturbation or if you're doing it through penile intercourse. So, which is more intense? They say the penile intercourse is actually more intense because that is, for some reason, it has, of course, we know the body is involved, that touch, all the senses are involved more than just masturbating where you're just concentrating on particular, sometimes more than one, but mostly the clitoris in women and of course the penis in men. And you really want to know that the orgasm from the masturbation generally, and I'm not saying for everybody, generally is not as intense as when you're having penile intercourse. Now, those are for the heterosexual couples, right? If you're homosexual, it might be different, but generally, even when you're a homosexual, gay, a lesbian, you're going to want that interaction with penetrative sex and the clitoral stimulation, and you're going to want that body-body connection, which again is going to be crucial in deciding or in influencing your orgasm. So remember that your partner matters, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later, okay? So you have those different organs that can give you that orgasm, but then you also have different types of orgasm, meaning that the intensity, right? So the question now is if one has, an orgasm in one particular way, right? And they had, let's say they had penetrative sex, right? Penile intercourse. And then they had the orgasm. So what if they have an orgasm by oral sex? Is that orgasm the same, right? And a lot of times in women, it's not. Guys, same thing too. The intensity sometimes varies. So when you are stimulating different sites and then you get an orgasm, usually the pathway is still the same. Now, people that have multiple orgasms, the pathway is still the same. So there's really no study that says that it's different. The studies right now have a consensus of that they are really going down that same pathway for each person and it's different. So you want to know that even though you have these different stimulations, right, you can have the same pathway followed, but what differs is the intensity. Okay, so that intensity is what you really want to be aware of. Did you have a big orgasm? We talked about that yesterday about the orgasmometer. I said orgasmometer, I think I said, but it's orgasmometer, and that can sort of like give you an idea of the different intensities or the different degrees of orgasms, okay? But you need to understand that you are going to still have the same pathway followed, but the intensity can depend on so many different factors, okay? So, um, what I would like to point out is the factors that are involved in turning on a woman when it comes to, again, male, female, um, intercourse, penile intercourse, they are really, really different. And I want to make this difference pretty obvious for you guys. So, a woman loves to have attention, okay? Attention meaning focus on her. So, if you guys are listening and you want to make sure your partner is going to have an orgasm, and I'm going to plead with you, that is my motto here. This is what I want to do. My game plan is for your women to have orgasms. You guys have your orgasms too. Yes, yes, I do want you to have your orgasms, guys. But I really want to implore you and plead with you to put your partner first, all right? Your partner comes first because when you satisfy your partner, you get that sexual satisfaction also, and then you can be aroused. And I'm not saying there's a rule here, but generally, most of the time, and of course, you have the quickie sometimes, but most of the time, you want to have your partner satisfied because sometimes with women, it's a little bit more difficult. So, attention. Now, I'm saying attention all year round, all during the whole relationship. You want to give her attention so she knows that you're her, you know, one and only. Okay? She wants to know that she belongs to you. That can help her have an orgasm. You're not going to believe it, but it's true. They can really get turned on. Women can get turned on. And I know you guys too can get turned on. I know that. But we are a little bit more complicated than you guys. Our pathways, again, we talked about that yesterday. Our pathways are a little bit more complicated. But attention is important. Also, the quality of the relationship. So if your relationship has great emotional connection, and you're passionate, and you actually feel a lot of physical attraction to each other, right? You're going to have a higher chance of having an orgasm during intercourse. All right, again, male female intercourse, sexual intercourse, because the masturbation, yeah, we know we can do that on our own, right? Most women can do that, especially with some help and some toys. And, generally the orgasm will come sooner or later. They say the older you get, the easier it is to get the orgasm. When you're younger, you're still trying to get to know your body, right? We call it the pre-orgasm. So don't worry about the pre-orgasm. You're going to get there. Just be determined and just keep on practicing. You're going to get there, right? And yes, I do want you to masturbate. And I do know that having sex, premarital sex, is a concern for some people. Personally, the studies have said, and I agree with the studies because this is one of the studies I really love to quote, premarital sex, premarital orgasms will predispose you, will allow you, will actually enable you to have orgasms in marriage. Okay? If you've never had sex before and you're a virgin going into marriage, having that orgasm may be difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. It may take time, and you've got to be patient, right? But the consensus, again, the studies show that if women have had orgasm before and they get married, it's going to be more likely that they're going to have more sex, they're going to have more satisfying sex. But when you're a virgin, it's going to be tougher. So I've known that for a while. So just be aware of that. I'm not saying you don't have to be a virgin. I'm just saying just be aware of it. Okay? And your partner should be aware of it. You're marrying a virgin, guys. You're going to have to be very patient. And these qualities need to come out. For example, she's got to be satisfied. So again, satisfied in terms of your emotional, physical, because when a woman is attracted to you, that can be half the battle. One, right? If she finds you attractive, they say that that is one of the key reasons why she's going to have that orgasm. So yeah, they say good-looking guys, right? Attractive guys, and to me, I feel that an attractive guy is someone that is confident, right? And focused and smart. I like smart. I like the brain. So you really want to have that attraction, that chemistry with that person. And they don't have to be good looking. They just have to have that masculine quality about them, right? And confidence, which again, I can go on and on, but most of the time you have your own attraction. So make sure you know what your own attraction is. Um, so that intimacy, right? You have those intimate moments together. You go out on dates and it's just the two of you, and he's touching you and he's actually focused on you. Again, I know I might sound corny, but this is something that will help, especially before getting into the bedroom, taking her to the bedroom. You really want to get intimate with her and look in her eyes and talk to her, and just know that she is the only one that you're thinking of, right? Passion, very important to show passion. Love, very important to show love. And again, what is love? Love is a two-way street. You give, you take. You enjoy the presence of your partner, and you look forward to seeing her, and you get your heart, and you get the butterflies and stuff like that, right? And you go through stages of love, right? So make sure you know that her 5 languages of love. You just gonna have to understand. Please look that up. 5 languages of love, where they are able to tell you what they want in terms of showing love, and you do the same to her too. Sexual compatibility. Are you sexually compatible? Do you want sex at the same time? Do you want sex a number of times? Do you want sex different times? That is going to improve the possibility of an orgasm, right? And if you're married, marital happiness. The more happy you are, the more chances you're going to have that orgasm, even though they say you have less sex as you get married. That's what they say. But, I think people should resist that and actually try and have sex at least 2 times a week, because you live longer. 2 times a week, live longer. Okay? Then I wanted to explain to you that those qualities I gave you are what you've got to focus on. Now, you would be surprised with this information, but y'all, guys, if you guys are high value men, no, it doesn't work. It does not improve or allow women, again, I'm talking about high value men, the partner you have, it does not contribute to her having an orgasm. Okay, neither does how much money you make. Okay, neither does your quality, the quality that you are, or the standards that you have, the job that you have. That does not make her have an orgasm. Okay, so understand that. I want to list that again. The quality. If you think that you're valuable, you have high self-esteem, that's not going to help her get the orgasm, right? If you think that you are exclusive to her, you're monogamous, that's not going to get her that orgasm, right? Um, if you are even if you are communicating with her, right? You're talking with her, that's not going to get her that orgasm. It's more, like I said before, the quality of the relationship. Okay, not the quality of you. It's the relationship, the give and take, the interactions, the satisfaction, the intensity, the passion, the love, right? The sexual compatibility, okay, and the happiness. Is she happy, right? Does she really say, baby, I'm so happy, right? The chances of getting an orgasm is much, much more. Okay, all right. Now, the initial thing I wanted to talk to you is, why do we have an orgasm? So I want to go right into that because we talked about orgasms and things that can help you make that orgasm happen. But I really want to take this time to say, I used to think that it was just for pleasure. Okay, but I learned something that I want to share with you. And the most important thing that I think you're going to love to hear is the orgasm may be a way for us women to choose our mate, to choose our guys. We might not be having orgasms. Studies are suggesting this, they're not concrete, but studies are suggesting that if we're not having an orgasm, I'm talking about the females, are not having orgasms, the partner might not be the one. Okay, now I say that because I was shocked when I read this, right? And it was a study that was conducted, and they were referring to the fact that they've done studies, they've gone back to evolution, and it doesn't make sense that women don't have the same orgasm numbers and intensity as men. So they did some studies, and in a nutshell, they're saying that you know we really should have the same, and because we don't, there's a reason. And some of these reasons are, one, that we really are not going to just have an orgasm with anybody. You've got to do something to get our attention. Why? Because we want to procreate too. We want our children to be fit, have a great immune system, be strong, right? Be able to survive in this world. So we want the right man that we feel is good for us. So we, according to the study, may not be having an orgasm because you're not the right one. Now, that's so subjective, right? So don't worry, guys. I don't think that that's the main reason, but it is something to put in the back of your head, because if you don't, you might be wasting your time, right? So you've got to know that if you're doing all these characters, like I said, giving her quality of time, you're making sure that she knows you're in love with her, and you're emotional, and you're passionate, and you're talking the five language of love with her, right? You really want to become aware that if you're doing all that and she's not reaching that orgasm, talk with her, find out maybe you're not the one. Okay, now be friends. I truly believe in being friends, and you can learn from her, you can learn from other people. Just know that we should love one another. All right, I wish love ruled the world. I wish it did. So if you really want to focus on the reason why we have orgasms, it's partly because some of the orgasms are for pleasure, but it's also for us to choose our mate. Isn't that cool? All right. Another reason why we orgasm, women orgasm, is for fertilization. Okay. So we want to be fertile, right? Especially around the ovulation time, right? Ovulation is mid cycle for women. So when we're fertile, we really have a higher chance of orgasming because we want to have babies too. So yes, there is a procreation role for us too, even though people said, oh, it's just pleasure, the clitoris is just pleasure. No, that interaction with you, the male, having sex, having that semen deposited in the vagina actually turns women on, especially around their ovulation. So if you really want to find out whether she can get that orgasm, a great orgasm, do it when she's ovulating. Okay. Now, if you don't want to have babies, condom, please. Birth control, please. Talk to your doctor, primary care doctor, and get that sorted out, please. And get tested, STD tested. This is for consenting adults only. All right. People that are consenting. Okay. So you really want to know that your genes that we want, right? We are going to orgasm for those that really turn on the women and we want to have your child. And you'll hear that all the time, I want to have your baby, right? That is going to predispose her to have that orgasm more likely. Okay. All right. Another reason would be to increase conception. So the orgasm actually pulls that contraction, right? And it pulls the semen into the uterus. And when it pulls the semen into the uterus, it's going to now contract, right, during that orgasm. And it's going to travel to the tubes, to the ovary, and it's going to meet somehow and implant if that contraction, if that orgasm is successful. So they say that the orgasm, the female orgasm, is also for procreation. That's what I wanted to let you know. Not just guys. Yeah, we know you guys have your seed, you have your semen out there, but we also contribute to having that procreation happen, okay? Having that conception. Not only because of the contraction, but because the hormones, oxytocin, prolactin, and dopamine are turned on, and the brain now is able to send more contraction and more signals to vaginally tent, remember vaginal tenting, and pull all that semen up to have the semen healthy and viable and have a better chance of penetrating the egg. Okay, so all that orgasm still is also for procreation. I wanted you to take note of that. Okay, um, so when you are excited and the vaginal contraction occurs and you have um, ovulation, you're going to find out that the contraction, which is the ultimate aim at the end of the orgasm, is going to pull semen into the vagina or into the uterus and increase the chances of you having that child, right? So if you don't want to have a child, make sure you have protection, okay? But I wanted to let you know that yes, we do have orgasms, but the interesting thing is, like I said earlier, sometimes it's because we are waiting for the right one to have an orgasm, right? But masturbation's fine. You can do that orgasm that way. But try and have that orgasm with the right one. Try to be with the right one, right? And be honest with one another. Try and show each other skills that might help. And if it's not going to help, you can still find a way of being friends. That's what I always tell my patients, okay? All right, y'all. Enough said by me for the day or for the morning. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. But I wanted to let you know that yes, we have orgasms, but sometimes we don't for a reason, okay? Nice talking to you. See you tomorrow. Bye.